just looking to learn more from developers in the community and meet some cool people.
Mel, do you want to hop in?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Melle. I'm the 3D artist and art director of HappySurf. And as always, I'm looking for some really nice interviews.
Hello, so I'm Hughes, a VR developer, and currently starting on a project to create a spatial conversations app. So it's my first time here, and happy to participate.
Very cool.
Yeah, hello, my name is Marcel. I'm also a developer, but not having a product yet. I'm enjoying this weekly meeting in here every time. And yeah, I'm also looking forward to some new interviews.
Helen, if you're getting booted out.
Is it me next? Hi everyone, I'm Andrea. I run NUMENA over there, so I guess you'll hear more from me soon. I'm super excited to just have a chat about VR in general and maybe our product. So I love people who love VR, so I'm really looking forward to this.
Awesome, welcome.
Nice. Hello everyone, I'm Jos. I'm CEO and co-founder of REMIO, which is over there. This is also my first time in here, and I have to say already, I love the login screen, like the cleanliness of this environment. Really, really cool. That's one thumbs up already. And so just here to, I guess I love testing out new VR stuff, see what's up, and this sounds like a good community to stay on top of things.
Hi guys, Jimmy here. Pretty similar story, just here to keep up with what you guys are doing, and I am tracking mostly productivity applications for VR and interested in Infinite Office, those types of things. Thanks.
Nice.
Okay, hi guys, I'm Chris. I'm a developer, and I love the community and all the informations and contacts that you get here, so I'm open for everything.
Awesome. Hi guys, I'm Jesse. Work with Justin and Tony and a few others here on Spatial Ape. Love putting together these events weekly, and excited about our asset competition 2 weeks from now, which we hope a lot of you guys participate in.
Hey, I'm Tomasz. I play piano. That's it. And I use Quest 2 and I love it.
Nice.
Hey everyone, I'm Robin. I'm a developer and I'm working on Grand Reality, which you'll probably hear over there, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And I'm also helping out a little bit with development of Spatial Ape.
Nice.
Awesome. And did Blake? Yeah, Blake, do you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, sure. Hi, I'm Blake. I'm a developer or co-founder of DB Creations. We make VR and AR games and applications like Rhythm and Bullets and Table Trenches, and we're currently working on a naval strategy game.
Awesome.
And we're talking.
And were you able to get the new build?
Yes, I got it.
Very cool. And regards to that, everyone, thanks so much for your patience. We've actually had a surprisingly good track record, but this was our first big mess up. We're working on a bot system so that we can more adequately kind of test that, and hopefully this won't happen again. But thanks so much.
The cool bug
Jimmy,
I'm
your
doing
hand
right
is
now
really
is that
big.
someone's hand is
Where'd
like
he go? Hello.
the whole world.
Testing.
So,
Hey,
unfortunately,
the mesh of your hand is
that one
stretched
a
out to
ready
the
player
sky
me
for
bug,
me.
and we
I
can't
think
do
it's
anything
really
That
about it.
happens
But if
sometimes.
you put and
I've seen it
restart it,
before,
will go
actually,
away.
with you even.
All right, I'll do that.
Yeah, it's just it's an interesting artifact, but it follows
last but not least, coming in late,
Exactly, yeah.
Thomas Van Buell. Do you want to do a quick intro before we get started?
Oh, yeah, sorry, just got the new build. I'm still here, so that's... hey, my name's Thomas. I make a puzzle game called Cubism, which is on the Quest. Did everybody do intros yet? Or?
Yeah, that's okay.
Wait. Thank you.
Cool. Well, sounds good. Thanks so very much for coming, and let's head over to NUMENA and ask some questions to Andrea.
So how
quick-
should we start? Should I just
Yeah.
present these or talk about these images here, or do you guys just kind of want to ask questions?
Yeah, well, what I was thinking is take maybe a minute to 2 minutes and kind of explain what you do. And then at each booth, we're going to do 5 questions and move on. And then you can come back and chat with whoever you want later on.
Yeah, okay, sounds good. So, our studio is made out of programming architects. So I'm also a developer and I am also a licensed brick and mortar architect. So we started because we had this desire to kind of merge these two disciplines, software development and architecture, at a super deep level. And we couldn't find any other company we could go work for that basically did that. So what's the kind of stuff that we do? We do custom VR and AR applications that have a super strong creative and spatial component. And that can range from medical training, where we had to do an entire hospital in VR, but because we're also developers, we also offered, we also programmed the interactions, so that was like a medical training app. We did, this picture over here on the right is a BMW motorcycle where they wanted like a super immersive spatial looking experience where we had people travel inside the motor of this motorcycle. We also do virtual architecture, which is what you see behind me. This is a project we're still working on of a virtual environment, kind of like the one here, for a German company called Arthur that has, it's basically like a virtual offices. And we also do traditional architecture because we are not brave enough to give up brick and mortar. So every now and then we take over, we accept like small housing commissions, and we use that to play around with this app that we have, and right now it's just for internal use, but we're hoping to release at some point, that allows you to basically design architecture inside VR, which is what you see in this video here on the right.
Very cool.
Awesome.
Thomas, you're also a certified brick and mortar architect, aren't you?
Yeah, I used to be. I made the full jump, but I actually worked for. I was an architect for about 3.5 years, and then I worked for a startup called Inside VR, which recently renamed to Resolve, for about 4 years. And well, since the last half year, I've sort of gone full time on game dev, so I've kind of left the architecture bit behind a little bit, but. Yeah, I was in the overlap between architecture and VR for quite a while.
Yeah, your game is totally architectural. I love it. So
thank you.
I can see the architect behind it.
That means a lot. I still have the roots. That's good. Big fan of your work here as well. It's great to see that you're both still practicing and making these tools. And I'm very curious to hear how these tools impact your design process. And whether you designed them specifically for your design process within the practice as well.
Yeah, so a lot of VR applications and companies are targeting AIC, which is basically stands for Architecture, Engineering and Construction, which is of course a huge industry. But they're using VR for two things, for visualization and collaboration. So they still design using traditional software that are desktop based, and then they use VR to just look at that design and then meet clients in there. And we thought that was actually one of the least interesting prospects of VR. And we actually wanted to design decisions while we are immersed into the building at one-to-one scale. Like we wanted to like actually move a wall at one-to-one scale. So a few years ago, there was just absolutely nothing that would allow us to do that for our own project, so not as a product. And we just started to like slowly grow a small library of scripts in Unity that would allow us to do that. And it just kind of grew and grew. And to answer your question, what we're most excited about is the fact that when you start to make decisions and react to a space at one-to-one scale, you actually end up designing different things, right? Like this your brain functions in such a different way when you are in VR. That you're like, oh, I kind of want a little opening in here, and I'm gonna move this wall here and move the other wall in there at 1-to-1 scale. And then when you leave that perspective and you switch to like bird's eye view, for example, and you look at what you just designed, you're like, holy shit, like the rational mind would have never made that design decision. So we're super excited about the prospect of discovering new spatial arrangements and new styles and new designs by actually using VR and using like these alternative cognitive paths in the creation process.
So cool.
What about, for example, physics and maybe also crowd simulations? Are you using stuff like that?
Sorry, physics and what was the where I have to come closer because the sound is very
physics
soft.
and also maybe crowd simulation of visitors in a space. If you're designing a hall, for example, are you using like avatars to check how many people, flows of people, how they react? And
Yeah, so there are two things we're using the same kind of app for, and we're looking to kind of see how we're going to differentiate things. So the first use is what you're hinting at, which is using it to design architecture that will eventually become brick and mortar, will be physical. But the second use is to design things like what's behind me, which is virtual architecture and kind of like the space that we're in now, which is never meant to become physical. And we're discovering that the initial design process is kind of similar, but then they end up having different kind of needs. So the stuff you would simulate with avatars in a space that's going to become physical is kind of different and has different logic than virtual spaces. So answers would depend on what kind of space are we talking about, what's the end goal. But absolutely, and we actually have a project right now that will require at a later stage that we come up with some kind of simulation idea to run people in the virtual space and kind of see where people naturally congregate at certain times of the day. Yeah, that's totally something we're considering. Yep.
Awesome.
Do you find in your application that you're using or internally that you still use the same input devices? Do you find that you need something, like in 3D CAD work, the space mouse is quite popular. In certain shops, you'll find these 3D mouse tools that people use with flat screen CAD environments. Do you find that and they provide quite a lot of control and quite a lot of there's a lot of buttons, there's if you're dealing with a CAD team, there's a highly customized working environment like an IDE for software. Do you find that you have some in addition to opening up some things, but just using the input devices that are available? Do you need like more menu space, or how do you find that? How do you work with that?
That's a good question. So we're experimenting a lot with UI and UX in this virtual environment, right? I mean, and we're dealing with issues that other kind of creative tools that are on the market don't have to deal with. For example, you have to select the wall that's super far away, and right now the only solution we have for that is like a laser beam. But where we really want to go is to have a virtual environment where you don't feel the mouse, you don't feel the UI, you're completely immersed into this, so you don't have to click any buttons, like ideally. And because we basically want to have designers in this state of flow where you don't have to stop the urge that you feel to move that wall or to change that shadow or to move that window in a different place, so you can like now focus for a few milliseconds on the buttons and these menus with tons of stuff. We haven't gotten to like a super perfect solution to that, but that's kind of what we are working towards. The best creative moments that I have personally are when I use cardboard, like just a pair of scissors and cardboard, and I just pretend I'm a sculptor. And the reason that puts me in a state of flow is because there is no UI, there is no mouse. It's just my hands that hold the scissor and the cardboard, and then I don't have to think about the tools at all. I'm 100% focused on the shape. So that's what I see as basically the ultimate goal of these kind of creative applications.
Cool. Okay.
With these tools that you are developing for internal use, have you ever brought in clients as well? And has VR sort of affected maybe the quality of their feedback or sort of the amount of feedback that they've given you all?
Yeah, absolutely. That's actually the only reason why we still accept small real architecture projects, because our focus is definitely XR development. But we take clients that just need a little house just because we want to experiment with them basically and see how they react if we do put them inside this application. And we've been kind of loving it. People, basically, you go to architecture school, which, you know, it takes forever to learn symbolism and abbreviations and all the weird things that allow you to create these complicated plans, right? Because you have to communicate what's called the design intention in a 2D format, but actually what you're trying to communicate is the design of a 3D object. And this kind of like conventions and symbolism that you see in plans is what's keeping, let's call them like normal people who are not architects from actually designing themselves. But in VR, you don't have that barrier anymore. Like, you don't have any kind of annotations and graphic symbolism. So people go inside this application and we tell them, look, you're not happy with where your kitchen wall is, just go ahead and like grab the kitchen wall and move it. Just do it yourself. And people are super shocked and kind of ecstatic that they're actually designing their own kitchen. And I think there's no reason why they shouldn't. So we're quite excited about this possibility, you know, giving a much higher level of agency to clients within the architecture process than we were ever able to do in the past.
Absolutely. Have you done anything with AR, or is it just VR tools for now?
So we are not doing any AR tools, but we did do 2 AR projects. One AR project was a few years ago, and after we did that, I have to say I wasn't like totally psyched about AR. I thought I had a hard time coming up conceptually with something that would get me excited. It seemed that it has zero replayability. You just scan a marker, you see something cool, but it doesn't have the same effect when you're doing it the second time. So for a couple of years, we did not take on any AR projects. And last year, we got a museum that came to us, and they wanted an AR game. And although I had said to the team, okay guys, no more AR, the idea of an AR game was super intriguing to me. And they wanted this in the museum. So for us, that was an opportunity to do something spatial and architectural by just spreading AR markers in a museum. And there was also the question, well, what in the world is an AR game? And how do you play an AR game inside a museum? So those questions were kind of irresistible. So we ended up taking the project. And we've just completed the first round of user testing inside the museum with this game, which were like super positive, which I'm kind of surprised by because it was a huge risk. It's like, it's a proper game. It takes about 15 minutes to play. It has characters, it has points, you're hunting for things, so it's pretty complex. So to answer your question, yes, but it's not a tool. It's just spatial for us because it's in the museum.
Okay, interesting.
I'll ask one last question before we move on here. This has been super interesting, and that is, you know, as you refine your internal tools, do you plan on sometime in the future to productize them and open them up to other architecture firms?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're working right now towards a beta that could be shared with other people for testing outside our company and our clients. We're hoping to get the beta done maybe in another 4 to 5 months. and then kind of take it from there.
Very cool. Well, I definitely have lots more questions for you, so maybe we'll get a follow-up later. But thanks so much for sharing your project.
Totally, you're welcome.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, we'll follow that.
Thanks.
All right. Maybe
Hey,
let's
and
move.
I know,
Go ahead, Jess.
Justin, I know Sean has to hop out pretty soon. Jost, do you have any time restriction here?
I also have to hop out at the start of the hour at the latest.
Okay.
Start of the
Do
next
Well,
we?
we can do both of those in 15 minutes. Again, it's our fault, of course, that we had
Yeah.
issues earlier. So thanks for being patient. Well, let's go to Void Rifter, and then we'll split that time in two with Remio. All right, Sean, you're the guy. Tell us, what are you doing here?
So I'm building a video game. Surprise. Void Drifter's a mech game. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Yep.
Void Drifter's a mech game for all VR platforms and non-VR platforms. It initially started back in December 2019 when I had the question, what could I do with the Oculus Quest? And somebody told me not much. And I said, bullshit. So I decided to build one of the most complicated bullet hell VR projects I've ever done. It's kind of been a nightmare, but it's also been a great time the entire time. So what Void Drifter is essentially is you play as a character who is a known voiceless, faceless character that has a dog, and there are these creatures, which is this one and this one. There's many more in the game, and they take your dog because in their dimension they use life from our dimension to harvest for energy because it's instability in their world or universe creates a vast amount of energy which they power their society with, and so they steal your dog, and the main character doesn't like that, so he gets in his or whoever they are get inside their giant mech and rampage through the dimensions to get their dog back.
That's awesome.
Some more things about Void Drifter is it's it's a first-person shooter. It uses a lot of fancy tricks. I've been working in Unity because it's a Unity game. I've been working in Unity for about 12 years now, so I know the engine as inside and out as I think I possibly can. And so there's a lot of tricks I'm using in here to get as many triangles and performance as possible. And so back in May 2020, we released our demo, which I don't think was the first VR game to have post-processing on the Oculus Quest, but we were able to do post-processing and have high fidelity, I guess, light maps and stuff like that with still getting over 70 frames per second, which I have to be honest with you was a nightmare to make happen, but it worked. And so after that, we experimented with some concepts, and we were trying to figure out what to do next after we finished that demo. And we moved on to the idea of what if we did multiplayer, because we all love games like Halo 3 where there's co-op and stuff like that. And so Void Drifter's official release will be on August 1st this year. It's coming out on the Pico Neo 2 and 3, as well as it will be on the Oculus Quest and Steam Store. It supports non-VR and cross-platform play, and it will launch with a campaign, which will be the first chapter of it. I'm doing episodic releases of the campaign, and that will include about, I want to hope, 4 hours of gameplay for the campaign, which allows you to play the campaign with up to 4 people. And so there's a couple really cool pieces of technology in here that makes that possible without causing too many issues. Like, for example, there's a AI director which dynamically balances the game to match the users. So there's no difficulty settings or anything like that. The director simply just watches how your health is doing, if you've been taking a lot of damage or not, and it adjusts the gameplay to meet that, as well as it creates a tactical gameplay base for the AI, so it creates game plans for them to attack and defend and stuff like that. And so I'm doing, I guess, what would be my best to recreate that really good Halo 3 style campaign, because that's my favorite first-person shooter, but with some spice and with some giant robots which you can customize, like friends.
Awesome.
Nice.
Are you on
Any
the?
questions?
Have you already been approved to the Quest store, or is that still in process?
Void Rifter Demo 1 was started on the Quest store as of May 12th, 2020. And so after that, I've been releasing like small demos of just experimental features I've been working on my website as well as in my game's Discord. And they can be downloaded and installed with SideQuest, but they are not publicly accessible via SideQuest right now. Only the demo from 2020 is available there.
Are you making the whole thing alone, or how many people are working with you together?
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Are you making that alone, or are you working with a team together?
Initially, it was about 6 of us working on the game together. However, everybody else has gone on to other things, and so it's just been me for the past, I want to say 6 or 7 months, and which has made that AI director really handy because I don't have time to balance the game. Yeah, so it's just me right now. I've done all the 3D models. I've done quite a bit of 3D modeling over my career, as well as senior level programmer doing mobile games, and so optimization's my top tier focus. I've worked in everything from XR, enterprise, and stuff like that, which was really interesting being at NUMENA because I worked at a company called REMIO, which did a lot of architectural visualization in XR, and to be honest with you, I was quite impressed with what you guys were doing. Their focus was more AR, which is, I think VR is the future, so I concur with that concept. But yeah, so I'm very familiar with making very optimized things, and Oculus Quest is quite the adventure with that. So yeah, it is just me right now.
Okay.
Bravo.
I think it's quite interesting the fact that you're doing cross-platform VR and non-VR, which isn't common at all. And my guess is you'll also make it compatible with multiplayer. So how did you come up with this idea, or how did you decide this was something that you wanted to do, and maybe what are the biggest challenges design-wise, because like feature parity between such different input methods, yeah.
So I guess the reason why I chose this was because the Master Chief Collection came out, and I played Halo 3 with a few of my buddies, and I was like, wow, it'd be great if my game was like this. And so that was my decision there, was just, I want to do that. And so I started doing that. When it comes to cross-platform, it thankfully ended up being super easy. Keyboard and mouse versus the Oculus controllers really feels very similar in the way I've approached it. So in VR, essentially, you aim the guns by grabbing a gun handle and aim the guns with your arm and stuff like that, and you use the joysticks as if it was a gamepad to be able to move around. And this is just the most familiar movement method for most people. There's also a throttle and stuff like that, and if you want to launch your rockets, you have to pull a handle and press a button. Unfortunately, we lose a lot of that touch inside the PC and mouse, or sorry, keyboard and mouse mode, as well as console-type gamepads. But we do still maintain that gameplay flow. And, I've done tests, PvP, as well as co-op with up to 16 people, and it's actually surprisingly been super easy to make that cross-flow work. I've not had any complaints from people in VR or in PC saying they didn't feel like it was balanced toward them. And I think that was merely an accident. Just pure luck that made that happen.
Cool. Well, since we are tight on time, let's give a little hand and maybe move on to the Remio booth. But thanks so much for sharing with us.
Bravo.
Thanks, Sean.
Hey.
Thank you,
Definitely
Sean.
check your project
Nice.
out.
Okay.
Cool. All right, I'm gonna go next door.
Jesse, remind me to ask you how you found us.
Okay, I'll let you know after this.
How did you
All right.
find it?
I'm trying to think about that now. Actually, I found
Twitter?
some list of new exciting VR companies, and I'm forgetting where I found that list, and Remio was on there, and I thought it
Yeah,
looked really cool.
why is Remio on there? I don't even know. Everyone come in. I stood at the back before, so please come in. I know it can be quite difficult to hear all the way down there. All right. I'll try to keep it brief so there's a space for some questions and I make it to my next meeting. So first plugs I just have to remember before I carry on. One, if anyone here is free, we're looking to hire more people to help out build the stuff, especially like designers or tech artists is our big focus, but obviously if you're great at anything else game dev wise, also welcome. Second thing is, we also have a big playtest tomorrow with our latest update. It's free, and if anyone's available, we'd love for you to join a couple. It's like pretty much 20 people in the same room, and we're just going to go through all the experiences quickly and show everyone around. So also, if you're available tomorrow, it's around 8 a.m. Pacific time, so anyone from Europe can also join. And just email me. I don't know where to find my stuff here, but
yeah,
email me and I'll put you on the list.
I'm going to go to that as well, so if you want to go, you can email me and I can send over Jose's email or Discord link, and then you can get it on
Or
there.
you can also just add them to the event.
Okay, cool.
But anyway, so yeah, so follow up with Jesse there. Yeah, so super cool. I'll take you through. This is actually a very old video of ours, so I'll talk through it just in a bit, but I'll take you through the story first of how we started. So we put on the Quest headsets, my co-founder and I. This was just before COVID, and I think like all of you, we were amazed. I mean, you could do hand tracking in the device. You had pass-through, so it's almost like AR already. It's a device that's standalone, which is insane. Like now anyone can use it, even if they have a shitty Mac. And basically that got us working on productivity tools. So we're like, holy shit, let's build out, because we imagine an infinite office in here is so possible. So we built out collaboration tools, tested it with customers very quickly. So this was around March, like right when COVID started. The companies were like, oh, the collaboration tools are pretty cool. But you know what? This is like a super cool sense of presence. Can you guys help us bond as a team? And then we're like, holy shit, that's when it clicked for us. It's like, help companies do like team building activities. And while they do that, you can show them all the collaboration tools. So we kind of have this mix of both worlds. We have a couple of like rec room style, like huge multiplayer games specifically focused on team building. And then on the side, we have collaboration tools and like whiteboards and shit that companies can use. And the vision is like create an HQ for every company. So have your like Apple Donut, have your Googleplex, and just have companies get in there, have some fun, and also collaborate. And so far we've done pretty well. We've had a couple of really big names come onto the platform. So we've actually had Google, a team that uses it actually weekly now, that jump into REMIO. We have like Robinhood, we have Fast, we have Iterable, we have PwC. A lot of big companies have started using us, so super happy on that front. But obviously, this is the other plug that I almost forgot, is as a development team, we're pretty small. We're about seven developers now, 2 people on the biz dev side, so 9 in total. And we can't keep up with demand in terms of creating all the different sets of content. So like we've made Paintball, sure, we've made like 5 different games. But the one thing we want to do is partner with other developers who have great games, so like for example Sean's, and just kind of plug it into the HQ so that there's a door for like that game in the HQ. And then if their entire team runs into the door from this company, they immediately get teleported into the same space in that other game. We already have this partnership set up with, for example, Topgolf, and we're working on one with Gorilla Tag. So if anyone has anything that they want to plug in, we also actually siphon, so depending on how much customers use that specific door, we will pay the developer for that amount of time people spend in there. So, and our customers pay us like a subscription, so you guys will also get part of that subscription. So yeah, just if anyone has anything they want to plug in, please also get in touch. And that's like the brief story about everything. I'll quickly just walk through what happens in this video. So that's the HQ. Oh, that's the end. But this is like HQ version 1 that you're going to see now. Sorry, just give it a sec. This one. And this is where everyone gets teleported in when we start the session with the event or whatever, the games where the company meets. And then in here, you have these doors that lead to all the different games. So like table tennis is one. This is obviously not our game. This is one of the actual games we plugged in. This is paintball. So like people just run around. Sorry, this is an old video again. Every game is designed to be super team building focused, lots of communication. This is actually also not our game, but we have one like this now. It's a tower defense game that can take up to like 50 players. So we're also massively multiplayer. This is the Trello board for productivity stuff, the presentation board, and I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, sorry for all the video, but yeah, I'll stop there, and 3 minutes left for any questions.
What's been your strategy on sales and marketing? You have gotten huge names from what I've seen. What's been your strategy there?
That's a good question. It's been a lot of hustling. I'm myself actually a tech person, did a PhD in machine learning, so I have 0 sales experience, but then kind of just had to teach myself. We've hired one business development manager to help as well. And now basically it's just a solid B2B sales approach. So we do like paid advertising targeted, and we do targeted email campaigns, and that's brought in quite a lot of good customers.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think there's a.
I was gonna ask. So your main competitor in this space seems like it's spatial. How do you differ from that product, or?
Yeah. So, I hear actually the other Blake in the VR AR conference also said the same thing, and like spatial. As far as I'm aware, like last time I tested, they don't have any games in there. Maybe they do now. I'm not sure, but spatial is very focused on the collaboration side of things in VR, and that's like kudos. I think they've built a really good product there. We're not like with the collaboration tools that I mentioned. It's kind of like a side effect for us. Our biggest focus is on the games because that's what brings companies in, and then once they experience the games, even like our regular customer Google, who uses it on a weekly basis. They use it every Friday where they have like a quick team, like the final stand-up meeting, and then after the stand-up have like 40-minute gaming sessions. So for them, it's still much more about the team games than it is the actual like whiteboarding and collaboration stuff. So I think like, yeah, in that sense, we're like, versus spatial, we're way more focused on team games. It's kind of like, you guys can think of it as a rec room for adults. But like everyone here is kind of not a rec room kind of person because I think most of us might be too old, not sure. But like we kind of we want an environment where there aren't kids shouting in your ears like every minute. So that's also kind of what this is.
What a vibe.
You could do that too.
Just a heads up for you and anyone else who has to go at the end of the hour. It's 2:59 now.
Yes.
All right. Well, it's been wonderful. I gotta run. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one.
Yeah. Thanks so much for coming.
Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks.
Hi, Robin. Should we do you next?
Yeah, let's go play some piano.
Hey, Jesse, can you wait a second? Jesse?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. Can you give me his contact details because the follow didn't work, but the business card didn't work. Because I want to get in touch with him. How this works, the integration into.
Absolutely, yeah. I'll get that over to you after this. After the event.
Awesome.
It's the first time it's been out of the actual app, so it's the first portable version of the app I've made.
It's really cool, man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thanks.
It's been interesting watching you. Like, obviously, VR plus piano is interesting, but figuring out the exact shape of what that product needs to look like to be successful today has been interesting to watch you try to figure out.
Yeah,
exporting these little clips to other apps is a very interesting attempt for to me. You want to tell us more about that?
Yeah, I think I've done it the wrong way round. People say that you're meant to find the market and then build the app, but I very much made the app first and I'm trying to find the market. And we've tried a few things. It started off with just getting the app built and making sure that you could have the hand tracking in there and making sure that you could press the keys and all of that stuff. And then we started doing some concerts at the beginning of this year. Tomas is here, so feel free to jump in, Tomas, if you've got anything you'd like to say. But Tomas is the performer for this piece, by the way. He's a very talented pianist and producer and musician. And he did a couple of concerts for us at the beginning of the year, and we had people in a space not that dissimilar to this space. We had like a concert hall, and people watched Tomas's performance, and they clapped at the end, and it felt, in the midst of all the COVID madness, a little bit like an actual concert, which is really cool. Yeah. But then I guess since then, we've also done some experiments with learning. So we had a lesson that Tomas did where we had, I think it was 4 of us, like 4 sets of hands, all playing the piano at the same time, which was kind of strange. And probably difficult from your perspective as a teacher, I imagine. But
but it was fun.
It was fun, yeah. And now the latest iteration is this one where I've packaged up the app into a little portable version that we've managed to put in here, and hopefully maybe put it in other places, maybe have it as your Oculus home screen, or have your business meeting with a piano in it. I don't know yet, but I'm open to hearing people's suggestions and whether they think there are certain applications that might work better than others. And if you've got a
Would it be
space
possible
that...
to have several pieces and that people could choose and say play Highway to Hell?
Yeah, have like a piano jukebox. Yeah, I like that idea. I mean, I've got the file streaming, so it is possible to make the file stream over the network. So I guess you could have multiple performances all set up and stream the one you want to hear next.
It really adds to the ambience. Like, I don't know if there's usually music playing in this space because it's my first time here, but like the idea, it's kind of lounge ambience and like having a little private pianist. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. So would you charge like basically per API call, sort of like every time this gets loaded on the client in the app that's integrating? Or how would you do that?
I had imagined it would be kind of the person that's built, the company that's building a space would think, okay, we've got this space for people to have meetings or whatever it is, and we also want to have some music in there, so they might pay for like the asset rather than the performance. But I don't know, maybe per performance would work better. I mean, certainly it'd be better for recurring revenue.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Anything with the lobby or lounge, I could see it working really well.
Yeah, it's very cool. How does it work? Do you just have a digital twin of the piano and then you're using hand tracking, or do you have it?
Yeah, if you look at the video there, that's Tomas playing.
Yeah, that's my place at my home.
Yeah. So it kind of hooks up to the hand tracking of the Quest and records the finger positions and the knuckles and the head, and translates that into a file. And then also records the MIDI information from the piano, so it's kind of joining up the two and synchronizing them, and then storing them all in one file.
Okay, cool.
What sort of
I was
controls
wondering if
have
you're
you
doing
built
the MIDI
into
information, because otherwise I was just like, holy crap.
Sorry.
What was that, Thomas?
What sort of controls have you built into the playback, and how can it plug into people learning how to play? Because the interesting thing is you don't just have the notes at the certain times, you also have the hand positions, and I imagine it'd be super interesting to play this back in slow motion with ghost hands, and then try to put my hand inside of the ghost hand and learn by sort of copying the movements.
This can be interesting, but more interesting is that you can join like the session. We can sit by the piano, two of us. Yeah. So I can show you slowly, what to press, or watch how you proceed with the piece. And this is, I think, more interesting, that live interaction with the teacher and the student, or the person
you can do that now?
Who is willing to learn to play, But otherwise,
sense.
also for sure, there's possibility to like upload MIDI files and slow them down after or so. But I don't know. This is not so super interesting. I mean, interactivity is, I think, the most interesting part of it. That you can join the space, and or more people, and we can sit around the piano and talk and show the notes, which notes you want to play, and so on and so on.
You'll have a higher quality of learning experience for sure.
Yeah,
I imagine. Yeah.
So I have a bit of a strange question. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Andrea.
Have you ever considered designing and playing a virtual piano? So the sound that the physical piano produces is connected to the waves of the sound, and it's connected to the particular shape of the piano. But we can do audio wave simulations right now in VR, so you could technically design a piano that's a totally different shape and then run sound waves in that. So you would basically have a virtual piano that could look nothing like a physical piano, and it will sound like nothing like a physical piano. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the possibilities are endless. A lot of people seem to be split on whether or not it should look like a real piano. Some people like to have the concert hall and the real piano and everything sounding traditional, and other people want to play on top of a mountain surrounded by unicorns, and it sounds like, I don't know, an organ.
I guess what I'm interested in is to get a different sound. So I don't really care what the thing looks like, but I guess where I'm going with it is that if the shape was different, then the sounds it should produce should be different. So I'm interested in virtual piano music, which should sound nothing like this kind of music.
Yeah, well, I guess virtual modeling of instruments is a massive thing. Like, there are people that create virtual instruments by sampling the sound and just getting a microphone and putting it next to a piano and recording what it sounds like, and then repeating that for different notes. And that's one way to create a virtual instrument. The other way is to try and physically model the sounds so that when you press a key, it creates reverberations, which then creates a sound. And yeah, in VR you could do that with, I guess, any different shape or any different structure or whatever it is. I've never seen that done. I don't know whether it has been, but yeah, that's certainly an interesting idea.
Because they're doing it for architecture, that's why I'm asking this. Like, they're running audio simulations inside concert halls in the design phase before the concert hall is being built. So they're definitely accessible engines that will simulate the sounds quite well and quite fast.
Oh yeah, you mean space, like reverb?
Yeah, I mean, you just model the shape and yeah.
It's already used for many years. Like it's called the convolution reverb. You just like enter the sample of the actual space, and you can recreate it and use it in other projects or songs, or to use it as an effect for any other sound.
But I think what she means is recreating the audio profile of your environment. So if you're in an environment that's like a concert hall or something, that where you physically try to physically simulate the whole room you're in, and how the music interacts with all the elements in your room. So I think that's more than just the simple simulation of different elements.
It's the same what I am talking about. Maybe I was explaining not very clearly, but it's the same thing you're talking about.
Yeah, so I also was thinking about the exact same principle, but actually applied to the piano. So let's say if we take the shape of the piano and we just make the end tail like half a meter longer, the sound it would produce should be different if you add that half a meter to it.
Oh, I see.
Because the sound comes from this machine. So you could use the same thing with this software you mentioned that we are using for architecture to then simulate how would the piano sound like if the tail is...
My guess it's kind of a hard thing to simulate, like the sound of the vibrations of the strings relative to the resonance in the cavity. So maybe the impression of that could be given by making like sound presets associated by length, and maybe doing sound synthesis with one parameter attached to the different lengths of the instruments. But I'm not sure if Unity could simulate like the whole physics of string vibrating, transmitting into the wood, impacting the sound around, or maybe I don't know Unity well enough. I did have a question.
Certainly a big project.
You mentioned at one point trying it out with lessons, and I found that very interesting, but did you mean lessons in person or at a distance? Because VR allows interactions at a distance.
At a distance, yes. So
yeah, of course, in the distance.
So Tomas could teach you to play the piano from your own home with your own piano and not have to worry about traveling or... Obviously, during COVID, that was a big concern and might be in the future. So it's
you're both sitting at the same piano, basically. That's a that's a unique function. You can't do that in real life. You know, that's something special.
Yeah, it's like very intimate in the sense that you can actually touch the same place and be in the same physical space as the teacher, which is very important, I think.
That's really awesome, and maybe like because technically it means that because it's sound and hand movements, do you have to deal with latency issues because both things have to be synchronized, and hand tracking is still pretty early, and I wonder if you're able to correctly transmit it over the network, because it's kind of data dense to transmit. So
yeah, that's a good question. We found that there is a bit of a delay, which means that you can't really play a duet.
Yeah, of course you can't. Of course you can't. It's not possible technically.
But it works in terms of like playing one thing and then playing another thing. So if you're learning from a teacher and they play something and then you copy it, it works in that kind of way.
Yeah.
Are there any sort of synchronization hacks you need to do to sync up like latency of the audio with latency of the hand positions?
It's to be honest, the hand tracking isn't that precise anyway. So you're going to press a key and it'll look like you're pressing the key, but I don't think that it's not that good yet. So kind of doing that that sort of thing hasn't yet become necessary, I guess.
So you're more relying on the MIDI data more than the hands. The hands is more like a nice visual layer on top, but it's mostly the MIDI that's driving the interaction.
Yeah, exactly.
But what I was suggesting, and I saw it in some other apps, that you can use virtual webcam. So in the case you want to show the student something specific, it's like specific movement or hand position, like precisely, then you use like virtual webcam, so it points to my real hands and it is shown in the app somehow.
Was it? It was immersed VR. Was it? Which app had
immersed
that?
VR.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
Immersed. Okay.
Yeah, they have
with
it,
the
right?
keyboard, with the K830 keyboard in Quest at least, it will physically show you your hand through the
also,
camera.
But this is something else a bit. Yeah.
But I mean,
there's also the ability
interesting.
to have a
It'd be a good
webcam
application
feed.
for you.
So you could see the webcam feed of the hands as well as the 3D version moving in front of it. That would help, I guess.
I don't think that's open to most devs yet.
Really?
It's not.
Yeah,
They've
it's only
got it
for
on spatial.
enterprise. Only for
V
Oculus for
spatial.
enterprise right now.
And
We're opening up
it's
more later.
in their browser.
Yeah, and Robin, that was kind of one of the things you explored early on, right? Is like to do like the really accurate teaching, you need to have really good sync with the physical keyboard. And that's something where the Quest falls short a little bit for now. I mean, it's certainly possible in future iterations, but not so great right now.
Yeah, there's two things. There's getting the keyboard in exactly the right position, which is a challenge because the tracking's not exactly accurate. So if you put your finger on a key, you can roughly work out where that position is and where your finger is, but it's not going to be like laser precise. So if you're used to a key being in a certain place, especially if you're a professional piano player, then it feels a bit different. But that's getting better all the time, and I think that Oculus hand tracking is getting better. And hopefully in the near future we'll see technology where you can just completely replace it, or augmented reality where you don't need to create a virtual piano. You can just play on the piano in front of you and overlay a teacher. So somebody could put their hands on top of yours and you don't need to worry about positioning or any of that stuff, calibration.
Yeah, they did update the hand latency recently with a higher refresh rate.
Yeah, I just put that in Grand Reality actually, and I think it does make a difference.
Nice. Have you seen the AR piano playing stuff that's kind of similar? Or have you experimented with it?
Those guys are amazing.
Yeah, I saw it also.
Yeah, there's a really good app for that, and they can take a MIDI file and convert it into a full hand-tracked performance with nothing other than MIDI data, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So does a user have to like download some software onto their piano to get that MIDI information like up to a server, or how does that syncing up with the VR app?
You just plug the USB into your headset, so I read the MIDI data coming from your piano.
Did you have to write your own driver or something? Or I guess you can just use the Android USB driver.
Yeah, there's
most
I think
of the
it's just a
pianos.
Unity asset.
Yeah, most of the pianos has USB MIDI, so you just plug in USB cable.
Yeah.
And you are good to go.
It also has Bluetooth, so you can connect via Bluetooth as well.
Very cool.
So you can imagine. Really awesome. Yeah, it reminded me of like the tablet piano apps like Musician and stuff. So this feels really like the next step enabled by the VR medium.
Yeah, I hope so. It'd be great if one of them wants to buy the technology.
Awesome. Thomas is going to be in 100 apps someday. He's going to be playing piano all across the metaverse simultaneously. He's going to be famous.
Yeah.
He's already cloned right now. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Like
which one's the real one?
It's one of those concepts in VR where you could be at several places at the same time. Like that's one of the interesting mind-bending things that VR environments kind of open up to. We're barely scratching the surface.
I've heard that one.
Or maybe you could
real
mint their
piano
performance as an NFT and Thomas could distribute it. Maybe we'll be there someday.
I'd say. Yeah, a real pianist can only play in one jazz cafe, but a virtual one can play in millions at the same time.
Oh yeah, I never thought about it like this.
Yeah,
interesting idea. Yeah, the real-time 3D streaming angle is really interesting.
The art of meta piano.
Very cool.
Yeah, you could get like 10 companies to pay you for a virtual gig at the same time.
Yeah, that's great.
I love it.
Does anyone else know of a 3D captured piano performance that's been played before? I wonder if this is the first one.
I've looked at it pretty extensively and I've not seen any 3D motion capture specifically for the piano. There's obviously hand motion capture and lots of other applications for that, but I've never seen them do it with a real motion capture performance of a piano. And this one's very affordable. All you need is a Quest headset.
Yeah, that's
You know
awesome.
what? We can try mixed reality.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah,
Did you ever try something like Ultra Leap or, Ultra Leap, or I think whatever they're, Magic?
That's Ultra Leap. That's Ultra Leap.
I started off with that on the HTC Vive and got a little bit further, and then the Quest came out and decided that it was much better to port over to the Quest because there'd be more people using it. But Ultra Leap seemed to have made a lot of leaps forwards with their hand tracking recently, so I'd be interested to try that again.
Yeah, like for the mixed reality capture, I'm sure you're aware, but there are like pretty cool tablet apps that allow to do it quite seamlessly. Like I think Thomas, I believe you did mixed reality capture for Cubism.
Yeah. With reality mixer.
Yeah, to make like a video to demonstrate your application.
It was on North Star or something, right?
Oh, sure. Well, so I made a video with Reality Mixer, which is a like an iPhone and iPad app, which allows you to shoot mixed reality footage, and you can just mod like the game to not have a background, so it looks like AR. I do have a North Star here as well, but I haven't had time to like mess around with it. But the goal is to have it, the game playable in the North Star at some point.
Yeah, I guess it'd be interesting to have a real-world piano mixed in with the digital concert hall.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, but
you guys
like
weren't thinking?
I think teaching, like virtual remote teaching, would be super interesting at your real piano, right?
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, Robin, let's do it. This is next step.
There you go.
Well, eventually, there should be an Apple headset at some point, so I'm hoping that if there's enough Apple users, that's a huge market, right?
Yeah. Apple piano.
Yeah, in 10 years.
In white.
IPM.
And it's not like someone else has built a piano app that's doing well, and it's just a hard nut to crack. Like it's just early. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking if we can build up a library of pieces and performances that is better than any others, then people will come to the app and they'll know where to come for virtual piano performances. And if there's nobody else in the space, then it'll be easy to dominate.
Another thing that I'm thinking about, maybe that's more far into the future, is if we imagine VR taking over more production workflows. If you imagine the DAWs of the future, people, they buy plugins to have virtual instruments, and maybe in like 5 years or something, people, they won't just download the VST, but a piano simulation like Ground Reality, and that would be their way of interfacing with the sound engines.
Totally.
Yes. There are so many goods. Just check SideQuest. There's tons of really nice music apps that do that kind of thing. There's synthesizers and like spatial synthesizers that allow you to do some really interesting things. I think that's the future of DAWs, and virtual instruments will be spatial as well.
And very nice physics simulations. Like a few weeks ago, I was going through Half-Life Alyx finally, and there is one level where they really took care of implementing a very nice piano with like the feedback of the touches when you press on it. You feel like they were building it, and they said to themselves, let's make it like really a working piano because we have those articulated hands. So you could cross sound generation. Another person would make a highly physics accurate piano, and you could mix and match a bit like
I did a video where I did a duet with the Half-Life Alyx piano, where I played on Ground Reality, the bass line, and then the melody on. But it took about 50 takes because you can only play with one finger on each hand. It is very difficult, trust me.
Hey Robin, you may have already said this, but which 3D file format are you using for this, or did you have to create your own for that?
I had to make one because I needed to synchronize the MIDI with the 3D file. So I just recorded all of the hand positions frame by frame and synchronized that with the MIDI. And so it's just a completely new format that unfortunately won't work with anything else.
You could install it in GLB with extension data and then packaged it that way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Tony, how did you get it in here?
I made it into an asset, so it's just a Unity package now, so you can just drop it into pretty much anything. That's the idea.
That's super cool.
That was
very nice.
Yeah, GLB has an audio extension too.
Really? Oh, I didn't know that.
Really? GLB is the best. It's great.
In terms of
I still want
stuff. Have you been looking at TribeXR at all and how they've been doing? Like, I think they're considered as teaching DJ school, right? Like in VR.
Yeah, Tom from TribeXR did a talk in here like a while ago. He's a really nice guy, and I really like their model because whenever I log on to on the Oculus app, there's always a TribeXR school event happening. And I'm sure they get loads of people coming in because of the events, and it seems like a really good community. And they just have one sort of DJ teaching a room full of virtual people how to play on the decks. And I think that the same format would work with Tomas in front of a piano and lots of people standing around learning to play something.
So it's cool to see the format is already sort of proven, right? If for like a slightly different application. Yeah,
the main difference is that the TribeXR guys, you don't need any hardware. You don't need to have an actual decks in front of you. Unfortunately, with the piano, you need to have a piano because you can't play air piano very easily.
Right.
That's a limitation.
Somebody!
Oh no!
Get onto the piano.
Fall again.
That's not good.
Oh no!
Time's up.
It's that time of the night again. Just don't move, and I think you won't fall.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fire one of these off I'm gonna fire one of these off. Someone want a T-shirt?
Plug-in on the asset store?
Sorry, say again.
Just when people go
Is
running
that
for the
plug-in
T-shirt,
you made on the asset store?
Exactly.
No, it's just a SideQuest app.
Hey, where did you get this gun?
Coming here to safety.
You're fine.
But maybe one day.
I guess I mean the Unity plugin, like to get the file in a Unity project. That's just
Yeah.
on side quests, you're saying?
Are any of your
Yeah,
tools
it's.
also
I mean, this is the
multiplayer? Have
only
you been
app
playing
it's
around
in,
with
so
that, or?
I've just exported it as a Unity file
We
for the
have
purposes of this app.
started to
It doesn't
look at
exist
this
anywhere else right
Photon.
now. But hopefully,
Do
in
you
the
plan
future.
on putting it on the asset store?
Yeah, I think so.
Where people can just
Either
plug it
that
in?
or
Oh,
either that will just give it directly to
Can you hear
people
me
that are
now?
building something in the
Yes.
space. If they want a piano, I can just give them
we
the asset
are
file and they
testing
can load it
Photon
in themselves.
to add that.
Yeah, there
but
you
at
go.
this point,
Cool.
we're
Now
just
everybody's
trying
following
to get a bunch of people in
Yeah, this is a very
what we
cool
call
app.
the virtual construction site,
Nice, thanks.
just to look at things, because I think it's going to be quite hard to enable the building of things and all the tools in multiplayer mode.
Yes.
So we're just kind of taking it one step at a time before we kind of jump into something that's gonna suck us in for a year or so.
Yes. It adds a big layer of complexity for sure. But then, like when you're showing it, you're always able to sort of observe the people in VR as they're using it and stuff.
Yeah, right. So until now, people have been coming into our office. And again, we just have maybe like a few clients a year that we're designing these little houses for.
Oh no.
Oh no.
He fell through the
Oh,
floor.
he's over there.
Everyone's falling. Oh man.
Yeah, if you fall through the floor, that's just restart. That's a known bug.
It
Oh,
seems
it's
like you
getting
have
worse.
some type of like overflow or something, maybe. I don't know. That's the
Yeah.
only guess I have, is that you have some float overflow or something that then goes to like
I
infinity
think
or
it might be a
something.
memory leak.
Or yeah, it could
Oh,
be
yeah.
definitely
I've
something like
seen
that.
this
We
already for like 1 hour, probably. This pink
Oh,
big
yeah.
thing.
Is it
Well,
on
if you
slapstick
quickly
for you?
come back in, it'll go away.
Or it's a
That's the only way
Nan
to do
or
that.
something. Yeah.
Thomas, is it on slapstick's hand over there?
Yeah, that's a
Excuse me?
glitch that sometimes can happen, but it's
I see that same
mainly
thing
on-
off of slapstick's hands, but I notice it's not showing on the stream.
Oh, is
You
it
just
just
have to
me?
restart,
Different people.
and then it
Yeah,
goes
if you
away
come out,
sometimes.
Yeah.
it should fix.
And I
You
can
can
It's
probably
really big hands.
Oh, really?
Guys, I have
I
to
got stuck.
run
Oh, yeah.
before I also disappear. It's 11:30 here, so I just wanted to say thank you so much for the invitation. It was great, and
Thanks for
I
coming.
wish I could
Yeah,
join
thanks for being
more.
here.
Really late. I'll try.
Please do,
Well,
yeah. It's
awesome.
great
Yeah.
to have your talk. Thanks a lot.
Cheers.
Thank you
Okay,
so
bye.
much.
Thank you. Bye.
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 Thank you.
Are there colliders in the avatars?
Yeah,
Is
I
there
think
one?
so.
Yes, yeah.
Because I keep walking on people by
I was
accident.
blocked before when we all got like when we huddled together. I was just
You can walk, but you have no legs.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
I fell through the floor.
This sounds like a
Get on the
Jaden
wall.
Smith's tweets, right? Like, how can you have no legs?
We're gonna have to invest
Justin, should
VR
we
words
fire
for
off
that.
a t-shirt?
Yes.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Maybe go to the main stage. Maybe it'll be for some reason better over there.
Yeah.
Drop
Does
it
anyone
down.
some of you want a t-shirt? Yeah, not everyone here has one.
Oh,
I want a
mine
t-shirt.
arrived by the way. Thank you so much.
What's that again?
This is the
Thomas,
t-shirt
yours
can,
came?
so if you catch
Yeah,
one of these
yeah.
t-shirts,
So
they ship it to your house.
my
Real
office
shirt.
address is actually at my
wow.
parents' place, so I haven't tried it yet. But but it
Okay.
has
Well,
arrived. So
I'm
thank you so
glad
much.
it made it.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah.
not.
Alright, I'm just gonna shoot one. You
It
guys
looks
ready?
really good.
You guys ready?
Ready?
Alright, hands up, like you mean it, like you mean it, and over here, going.
Go, go, go.
Oh,
Do we go?
Where to go?
Reach all the way down, and nice
Oh,
play.
Blake got it.
Nice.
I don't even need to try because I can't reach the floor.
Nice, congratulations, Blake.
Are you gonna send me a bunch of like mail
cool.
as well too? Like
Yeah, a bunch of
We're gonna
a bunch of catalogs. Yeah.
yeah, I full
Really
of
just
That's
like,
our real.
yeah.
That's our real business model.
That's a bug.
50 floors under. Did you see it or?
Yeah, I saw you disappear.
Yeah, I fell down and then I turned off the app.
Yeah, that's the only way.
Yeah, that's the way to fix it. I'm
Blake,
very
Jesse
cool to
will
get it.
follow
I'm
up
very
with you
excited.
after.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
Make sure that
Blake,
you
I'll
get it.
send you an email.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, thanks, guys. Sorry about the bugs earlier. We're
No worries.
It's
we're
okay.
working
It
on it.
happens.
We have a couple things. For one, the reason we had the issue is because we had a really cool feature that we were going to release today, which was a web browser for each booth loaded on their homepage, which was really cool. But it looks like we had some texture memory issues, and we just worked that out a little bit more. Then the other thing that we have that's really cool that's planned is, so June 17th we're doing a game asset competition, and it's not so much a
Not
contest.
just games. Not just games, any asset.
Any VR app, any 3D asset. We're going to be showing them off, and everyone's going to be coming in here and meeting each other. But in preparation for that, we are launching a new set of functionality so that you're going to be able to upload your own 3D model on our website, and then you're going to be able to come in here anytime and pull out your model, even when you're not scheduled to talk, which is going to be really cool.
Nice.
Oh, cool. So that may even be ready next week, but definitely by the 17th we're shooting to have that.
Sweet.
So like you can place an FBX file inside this space, or
exactly.
Okay, so it's just a 3D asset, or it can be something interactive, like.
No interactivity yet.
Okay.
Just a static. If it has animations built into it, I think those will work. Otherwise, static.
Cool.
But it's not hard to imagine like a next step where we give you a little JavaScript window underneath the uploader where all of a sudden you can add behavior and that kind of stuff, which I think would be really cool too.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that sounds like it's begging for moderation.
Yeah. Why? What are you planning to bring in, Michael?
Not me, but I mean, we are currently a tight-knit group of people, but if you're really planning for 200 people or something, then there has to be people with, like, not safe for work.
It's a space for XR professionals,
Yeah, we haven't brought any of the porn executives in here yet. But
oh yeah, that's fine.
I imagine, like LinkedIn, it's like that. So I hope won't have that issue.
I'll just bring in a 4 GB model and then just place it.
Well, we'll have to put something in place to prevent that, Blake, but you go right ahead.
Someone could bring in like the kind of things that change color so rapidly that it gives you a seizure kind of thing. That one day I was in VR chat and someone had made an avatar just like that, and he was like, it was basically a huge cube with inward facing images that were flashing out.
Oh gosh.
It was smart, like the guy, he hustled to get in. But
yeah.
Just the monitor playing Matrix 4 before release or stuff like that.
Yeah, but so will there be limits on the models?
I think we had been talking about 25 megs, but then Robin says this is 40 megs. I kind of want this in here, so maybe we'll have to raise it.
But Robin, is this mostly the playback file? Like, what's taking up size mostly for you?
It's about 50-50 actually. The playback file is about 20 meg, and the model and scripts are about another 20 meg.
Interesting.
Oh, it's small, no?
Yeah,
it's
it
pretty
was.
Small
it took me a
file.
while to get it that small, and I think it can be smaller. Like there's loads of optimizations I can make.
Yeah, you can probably compress the playback.
I tried to change the resolution through SideQuest, and the difference is so big with all the apps and games.
Oh, cool.
That Quest can how to say?
Pretty powerful.
Yeah, it can render pretty nice resolution. Thanks.
Yeah.
But at the some point, it's not enough power, not powerful enough.
Yeah, it's
If you
it's
set
got a
to
limit.
high resolution, then it's frame rate is lowering.
Robin, do you remember how many polys are in that model?
I don't remember off the top of my head. The original piano I had was really high poly, and I had to swap it out, or I had to massively reduce the number of polygons for Quest.
I mean, I think it looks really good still.
Yeah, it looks great.
You don't really lose a lot.
The recording of the animation of the hands, especially, because if you're doing the 60 hertz, then are you taking 60 frames of animation per bone that you're tracking, or are you finding some ways to like optimize?
Yeah, I basically have. I can't remember what the resolution is now, but you can change the resolution of the tracking in the app as well. So it doesn't record every hand frame; it records every certain number of hand frames.
Gotcha.
That makes sense. Then you LARP them.
I'm curious where you can just track. I mean, probably you lose a lot, but if you could just track the fingertips and the wrists, and then work out everything locally through IK, and then.
Exactly, yeah, that's how a lot of them do it. There are a few apps that are doing hand tracking over a network, and I've heard that that's one of the optimizations they all make, so that you're not sending the absolute positions for all of the joints in the hand. You're sending relative to another bone.
Like I reckon you could also just do curl, which would be just a bunch of floats, well, 5 floats instead of 5 vector positions, right? But then you lose some accuracy. More likely than with positions.
Yeah, in this use case, you probably want more accuracy.
But isn't the data from you get from the Quest the angles anyway? You could just send the data and do the calculations on the other side. I mean,
yeah, that's what we're talking about. Like sort of
but you don't have to actually try to reverse that, because you're already getting that information from the Quest. I mean, I'm not sure how it is in Unity, but in the Oculus SDK, you are actually getting only the angles, and you have to figure out. I mean, Unity does it for you, but you have to figure out the positions of the skeleton.
Is that right?
And if you just use that information and send it over there and do the same calculation there again, that the Unity asset is doing anyway, so you don't have to do any.
Don't you get the transforms for the bones?
Yeah, I thought you got the bone transform.
Well, you have the origin for the wrist.
You get an array with 18, I think it's 18 or something, 18 values, and that then calculates the position of your hand. And if you send that array, then you basically do the same thing on the other side.
Yeah.
Because it's nested transform, so you just need to transform the wrist, and from there it's the orientations of the different childs, and it childs for each finger bone sequentially.
Exactly. Yeah. Which,
but like
when I was first doing hand tracking, it didn't click with me that you only had to use the rotation, and it's kind of interesting when you drive like a hand model with both position and rotation for each bone. You get very wavy hands.
But if you're speaking of just doing inverse IK with the fingertips, like when you count, that would be still less than the number of rotation data for each bone. So that could be interesting,
Because you would have one position and rotation for the wrist, and then only 5 relative positions, right? So
yeah, that's right.
Another option maybe, and because I recently chatted with our devs on the question of networks hands, which is a technical challenge, at some point he said, why not just record a whole array of hand positions, like you could fit like 256 into 1 byte, and you just let everyone do the encoding and decoding on their own, and you just send what number the hand position is. That could be a kind of a cheat way to make it work.
Interesting.
Right. Yeah, and then you could hand them together and do like blend masks or something.
That's for example, An interesting thing you can do with the piano is that you can tell which hand is playing which notes by just looking at the distance between certain fingertips and certain keys. So normally it would be quite difficult to tell which was the left hand and which was the right hand, and separate out those two melodies or notes. But with this, because you've got the hand data, you can tell that this is the bass and this is the melody, just because it's close to the hand that's playing it.
Oh, that's cool.
Thomas, did you have to pick the tune based on whether your hands would have to cross over or not? Like, I reckon that to record, it's best that left stays left and right stays right?
I I understand your question.
Oh, sure. Like, I guess in most piano pieces, your left hand stays left and your right hand stays right. But if you have any piece where you need to cross over, if you're doing a big arpeggio or something like this, like I imagine there's some limitations when you're recording your hands, right?
You
On
know
the
what?
types of pieces you can.
It's like very rarely where when I use this like hand over hand, like almost never,
Oh,
almost
interesting.
never. So
Gotcha.
I don't need it.
That's very good to hear.
Yeah.
Because
I was
overlapping.
thinking about
It's
it
good to have it.
once, but
Yes.
no, it's not necessary usually.
That's good. Yeah.
Some people are doing it just for the effect, you know.
Right.
Just showing off.
Just looks kinda nice.
Most of the time you don't have to do it. You can play this thing with one hand.
Right. Interesting.
So.
Which doesn't mean you can't record with like some extra effects, I guess. It's gonna, when you select your performance, you can be like, I want an angry pianist, or I want a...
Yeah.
Another interesting thing I'm reminded of with the piano is like an old video I saw long ago of people who were studying piano players and where their gaze was focusing on while they were playing. And you could imagine in the next headset generations with eye tracking, you could do something akin to like heat maps to show, oh, your focus is like shifting in those kinds of places as you're playing. So it could be an interesting tool for professionals when you want to kind of dissect his playing a little bit to understand it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like it's lowering the cost of eye tracking as well, presumably. Like at the moment, if you want to do any kind of eye tracking study, you have to buy a really expensive headset or eye tracking hardware. But eventually, the future iterations of headsets will have cheap eye tracking, which will be interesting.
It's gonna democratize it, definitely.
Yeah.
I'll have to head out as well, but it's good seeing everyone.
Yeah, I'm
Yes,
gonna head out.
see you later, Thomas.
See you next
Bye,
time.
Thomas.
Cheers.
See you later, Thomas.
Bye. Yeah, I'm also gonna head out. Bye, everyone.
Yeah,
See you
kind of
later.
same too. Was really
I'm
great
gonna-
chatting with
I'm
you
gonna
all.
split.
I'll definitely be coming back. Bye, everyone.
Awesome. Yeah, see you soon.
Bye, everyone.
Take care, guys. Bye.
So it looks like VR artists are really in demand. So from the REMIO